Hello my keto peeps, it's Samaya and welcome back to my channel, I Don't Sugarcoat. One of my favorite foods to eat is Chinese food, and starting the keto diet, it made it very difficult to enjoy some of my favorite Chinese foods because most of them involve rice or some kind of noodle or something or other. So one of the things I loved to eat before starting the keto diet was just a good bowl of ramen. And for a while, I thought, man, I'm not going to be able to eat ramen for a very long time. But I started finding out about alternative noodles that I could use in order to have ramen. And so today, we're going to make ramen, and we're going to be using a tofu noodle today. So let's get started. Okay, so for this ramen, we are going to be using 2 cups of chicken stock. We're going to be using 5.5 ounces of pork boneless loin. We're going to be using 1 tablespoon of kimchi. We're going to be using 1 cup of shiitake mushrooms. We're going to be using 1/4 of a cup of bean sprouts, and we're going to be using 2 tablespoons of butter, 1/4 of a cup of green onions, and 2 eggs, and then some spices and sauces. Okay, so let's turn on our eye. And we'll start off with adding the 2 cups of chicken stock. Now, sometimes I use like leftover meats. Like sometimes I might use maybe some steak, and I'll do like a beef ramen, or you could do a chicken ramen. I haven't had that yet. Or I do pork. And since I don't have anything left over, I'm using fresh pork, and that's fine because it's cut into thin strips and it's going to cook in this broth as everything else is cooking up, so it'll be done perfectly right on time. Okay, and now I'm going to add in the cup of shiitake mushrooms. Okay, if those last few will come out. Goodness. Okay, we can go ahead and throw in our bean sprouts. We can throw in our butter. And we can toss in our kimchi. Now, if you don't like kimchi, you don't have to add it, but really, it's such a small amount, you're not gonna really notice it. So I like to use tongs with this just because it makes it easier to move everything around and separate stuff. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add our seasoning and spices to this. So I like to do a little salt. I'm gonna crack some pepper in it. I like to do a little cayenne pepper. And then about 2 teaspoons of liquid aminos or Tamari soy sauce or coconut aminos, whichever one you prefer. 1 to 2 teaspoons. And I just like to eyeball that. Okay, and now here is my guilty pleasure. And you do not have to use this. If you don't want to, you can totally season this with something else, but I just like to add this because I don't know, I love the way it tastes. I'm gonna be adding a packet from, you know, the regular dry noodles. I'm gonna be adding the seasoning pack, and since I'm making pork noodles, I'm going with pork flavor. And as I said, you don't have to add this if you don't want. I personally just love the way it makes it taste, and you can add whatever seasonings you like. And now we don't want to add our tofu noodles in just yet. And this brand, I believe this brand is Nasoya. This is made by Nasoya, and you can find this at Walmart. And I think I found these at Kroger's too, but I know for sure you can find these at Walmart. Now, I recently made a bowl of pork ramen a few days ago, maybe about 4 or 5 days ago. And I tried out a new noodle. It's called skinny pasta, and it's a cognac noodle, and I loved it. And I will probably be using it in my ramen recipe from now on, but I didn't have any on hand. I had only bought one bag because that was my first time trying it. So I don't have any of that on hand. But I would say, if you can, get the skinny pasta because I love it even more than the tofu noodles. Okay, and now that this has a good boil going on, we're gonna go ahead and add in our tofu noodles, and make sure you give these a good rinse. I'd say rinse them for about 2 to 3 minutes and have them in a strainer so it can strain the water out. Okay, and now we just want to give this time to just let the noodles cook into the sauce just a little bit before we add our egg and our green onions. And as I said, because I cut the pork up into thin strips, it's already done, guys. And this is a really quick and easy recipe to make. If you like ramen the way I like ramen, you know, you can get this done easy in 10 minutes and be eating dinner. Okay, now we want to turn this down some because we don't want it to be boiling this hard when we add the eggs to it. Okay, now when adding your eggs, now if you don't want to add eggs, that's totally fine. Truth be told, I recently only started eating my ramen with eggs in it maybe 2 years ago, and since then I can't eat them any other way. I just love it with eggs. So you want to add 1 egg in at a time. And be careful, you don't want to get the shell in your noodles. Okay, and then you want to go ahead and then top it off with your green onions. Uh-oh. Okay, and now we only want to let this cook for 2 minutes, unless you want your eggs to be a little firmer, but for me, 2 minutes is all I need. Now I will say, you know, I am using a substitute noodle, tofu noodles. So it's not like it's gonna be the same texture as, you know, regular noodles that you would find in ramen. But truthfully, I don't find the texture to be that bad. I like it. I ate it that way for pretty much all of my keto journey until recently. And the only reason why I want to switch to the cognac noodles because I find that that texture is closer to the texture of regular ramen noodle. So that's why I'm going to be switching to using the cognac noodles from now on when I make this recipe. But for now, tofu noodles are perfectly fine, and if you can't get your hands on any of the cognac noodles, then tofu noodles will be a great addition to this. It's a great substitute, so don't worry about it. I like the texture. Hopefully you'll like the texture. I think it's a great substitute. All right, they're done. So let's go ahead and turn off your eye. And now you want to gently pour this into a bowl that's gonna be big enough to hold that 2 cups of liquid. So let's try it this way. And be careful. Uh-oh, see? I always do that to myself. I say to be careful, and then I'm not always careful. Okay, now I'm just gonna fix this a little bit just to make it a little bit more presentable. Okay, you guys. All right, and there you go. Fresh, homemade keto ramen. All right, you guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you're new here, please click that subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so you can get a notification every time I upload a new video. Thanks for watching this video, you guys, and until next time. Oh, before I sign off, I will put the nutritional values for this in the description of this video. Okay, now, until next time, you guys. Bye.